Okay, so here's our second functions review video. It's going to include just evaluating and then composing, kind of the new thing that we did this year. Hadn't seen that previously. So I've got three functions identified for you, f, g, and h, and then I'm going to complete the following. So we're going to start with some old stuff first. So just a reminder, if something is inside the parentheses, it's going to take the place of the x. So basically what I have here is if I want to find f of 7, then I'm going to go back to the f function of x is equal to, and I'm just going to copy it down, so it's the square root of 3x minus 5. Basically, what you're going to end up doing here is just replacing. So if we look, we have this 7 in the exact same spot as we have that x. So all I'm going to do here is everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put a 7 in its place. And then I'm just going to do the math. So make sure you obey order of operations, that's important. And then this is going to give me 21 minus 5. If I know the square root of this after completing this subtraction, then the expectation is that you're going to do it. So I know that the square root of 16 is 4. Now, just a reminder, do not put plus or minus in front of the square root symbol if the square root is already provided for you. So I wrote the question, I already decided that it's going to be a positive in front of the square root symbol, which is why there isn't a sign there. So don't add a plus or minus if the square root symbol has already been provided for you. And then that's it, that's my answer. So there's the answer to the first one. Let's put that in a red box so I know I'm finished. Written in function notation. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Same idea here, so it's the g function, so I'm going to take my g of x function, and then I'm just going to copy it down. So this is going to be negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. I have the same situation here. Notice that the negative 2 is inside the parentheses, which is where the x is located. So what I'm going to do for my g function is everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in a negative 2. Highly recommend using parentheses when you substitute in. And then here, only reason why I decided to do a second one on this very front screen is just a reminder of order of operations. So you're supposed to do exponents first, which means the very first thing I'm going to do is that negative 2 squared. So nothing happens to the negative 2 in front. Negative 2 squared, a negative times a negative is positive. And then I'm just going to copy everything else down. Okay, then from here, I have no more exponents, parentheses, that means inside them. There's nothing I can do inside. And then the next thing is multiplication and division. So I've got this multiplication and that multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply those two together. So that's going to give me a negative 8 plus a negative 8. You don't have to have the plus, you could just do subtract. And then from here, it's addition and subtraction in order from left to right. So I have negative 8 and negative 8 is negative 16, minus 7 is negative 23. And then I'm just going to drop my notation down. So g of negative 2 is equal to negative 23. Written in function notation, follow order of operations, I'm good. Okay, next slide, kind of the reverse, stuff you've already seen though. So I have the exact same three functions up at the top. I just wanted more room on the slide, so I went to the next one. So this time it's x when h of x is equal to 17. So I'm just going to take my h of x function, just like I did before. So h of x equals, and I'm just going to copy it down. That's my 4/5 x plus 9. In this case, notice that they're both equal to h of x. If they are both equal to h of x, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them equal to each other. You should have an x in your equation since that's what you're solving for. So this is basically 17 equals 4/5 x plus 9. Okay, then let's solve this thing. I'm going to move my 9 to the other side. Those cancel. 17 minus 9 is 8. That's going to give me 4/5 x. Okay, I need to get the 4/5 off of here. Well, if you think about it, 4/5, a fraction is technically, if it's applied to something else, technically multiplication and division simultaneously. So let's deal with the 5 first. If the 5 is on the bottom, I'm currently dividing by 5, so I need to multiply by 5. I'm also going to take care of the 4. If the 4 is on top, that's multiplication. To get rid of multiplication, I'm going to divide. Hopefully this looks familiar. It's multiplying by their reciprocal. If you take a look here, I can now simplify these out. So 5 over 5 is 1. 4 over 4 is 1. That was the point of doing that. And now I just have an x on this side. Now, when you're multiplying, put a 1 underneath your 8. It might make your life a little bit easier. This you can also simplify. So if you can simplify it, do it. If it's obvious. If it's not obvious, then just do the multiplication. But I know that 4 goes into 4 once and 4 goes into 8 twice. So if I take a look at this, I basically have 5 times 2, which is 10, over 1 times 1, which is just 1. So this is just 10. So what I need to do is rewrite this in function notation. So this was h of, and I knew it was 17 to begin with. Well, the x that I just found is 10. So there's my answer in function notation. Okay, moving on to the next one, same idea. I take a look at this one, x when f of x. Okay, let's go back to my f of x function. So I'm going to copy down f of x. Right underneath it, f of x is equal to the square root of 3x minus 5. Same thing. If this is f of x and this is f of x, set them equal to each other, then you're going to have x in your equation. So I'm going to get 2 is equal to the square root of 3x minus 5. Okay, I have to get to the x. Well, I can't get to the x because the square root symbol is in the way. Get rid of the square root. You're going to square both sides. 2 squared gives me 4. The square and the square root over here cancel. Like, that was the whole point. So get rid of the root, add the 5 to the other side. That's going to give me 9. Divide by 3. I'm going to get x is equal to 3. Write it in function notation. So this is f of whatever the x value I got. I already knew it was going to be 2. That's what I was told in the beginning. So then the x value that I got is 3. Now, if you get multiple x values, then you're going to have to write multiple answers in function notation. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Same idea. G of x. Okay, so g of x equals. So I'm going to take my g of x function, and I'm going to copy it down. So I have negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. They're both equal to g of x, so get rid of the g of x and just set them equal to each other. So this is going to give me negative 13 is equal to negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. Okay, now we're back in integrated too. You have an x squared, an x, and a constant, and an equal sign. So zero product property, completing the square quadratic formula, you pick. I am going to try factoring because it's always the first thing I want to try. I also like to have my x squared positive. So I am going to move everybody from the left over to the right. So from the right to the left, excuse me. So those are going to cancel, those cancel, those cancel. So the right-hand side is going to be 0. So I've got a 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. Okay, I see a GCF of 2. So I'm going to take that out. X squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. That's factorable. That is x minus 3x plus 1. Use zero product property. Get 2 equals 0. That doesn't make any sense. There's no x in there. We get x equals 3, and we get x equals negative 1. Okay, now I need to write it in function notation. Each one of those is an answer, so you need 2 of the answers written out. So it was g of something gave me negative 13. I got 2 of them. G of the next one is equal to negative 13. The 2x values that you got, I got a 3 and I got a negative 1. Both of those are my answers. So quick little review on quadratics and what do you deal with when you have a square root symbol in the whole fraction business. Now here's basically the stuff that's new. So what we have here is composing of functions on G. So if you have like multiple functions nestled inside of other ones, well, what you're going to do is you're going to start from the inside and work your way out. So I am going to highlight, I'm going to box it in blue. I am going to start at the negative 15. Then I'm going to work my way out until I hit the first function. Well, the first function I hit is h. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do h of negative 15. So h of negative 15. Go to the h function. Now we're just like on the first slide. Go back to the h function, and everywhere you see an x, which was right there, we're going to plug in a negative 15. Put a 1 underneath that guy. I'm going to simplify just like I did before. So if I take a look at this, I know that 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into negative 15 negative 3 times. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 1 times 1 on the bottom is 1. I don't need that. So then this is going to give me negative 3. Okay, so h of negative 15 is equal to negative 3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab what I had up here. Let's see if I can get it to copy. So I just moved down what I did. And now I'm going to replace, because I know that h of negative 15, that stuff that's in the blue box, is actually equal to negative 3. So negative 3 is going to replace that, but I haven't gotten to the g function on the outside yet, so I'm just going to drop that straight down. So now I'm going to do g of negative 3. Okay, so I go back up to the g function. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug a negative 3 in. So this is going to be negative 2 times negative 3 squared plus 4 times negative 3 minus 7. And then I'm going to do the math. Make sure you obey order of operations. Negative 2 squared is 9. Do the multiplication. That's negative 18 minus 12 minus 7. That's going to give me negative 37. Now, if I take what I had a second ago, so this guy, which is what I was just dealing with, if there were more functions like out in front of my g, then I would keep working my way out. Well, I've reached the end of it, so there's nothing else for me to do. It's just now set this entire thing equal to negative 37. So you start from the inside and work your way out until you've run out of functions that you're supposed to plug it into. Okay, question number 7. I want to think about this as 2 separate questions, actually, and then I'll pull them back together at the end. This plus sign in the middle is going to separate my 2 pieces, and I'm going to think about them as 2 separate things. So I'm going to take a look at, and I'm just going to do some color coding here. So I'll take a look at this guy right here, negative 3 f of 10, and I'm going to do that in blue, and I'm just going to do that work. Okay, so negative 3 f of 10, that is the exact same thing as negative 3 times f of 10. So I need to do f of 10. So go back to my f function. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug a 10 in. So that's going to be square root of 3 times 10 minus 5. Do the math. That's going to be the square root of 30 minus 5. That's the square root of 25. That is 5, not plus or minus. It's just 5. So then I'm going to try to do negative 3 times f of 10. Okay, well, that's negative 3 times. Well, I found that out. That's 5. So this is negative 15. Okay, the blue stuff is done. Okay, let's go up. I need to do the part after the plus sign. Let's go ahead and do this in orange. So this 1/5 g of 1. So 1/5 g of 1 is the exact same thing as 1/5 times g of 1. So I need to do g of 1. So go to your g function, and everywhere you see an x, you're going to plug in a 1. So that's going to be negative 2, 1 squared, plus 4 times 1 minus 7. 1 squared is 1. Do the multiplication. That is going to give me negative 5. So g of 1 is going to be equal to negative 5. Okay, now 1/5 g of 1. So 1/5 times g of 1. Well, that's 1/5 times negative 5. Put a 1 under your negative 5. That goes in there once, that goes in there once. I'm going to get negative 1. Okay, now I go back to the original of what I was trying to do in the first place. So let's see if we can copy that down. Move it down here. Now I'm just going to plug in stuff that I just did. So negative 3 times f of 10, this is negative 15. Plus, that was negative 1. The answer is negative 16. So equals negative 16. And then red box, since that's my answer.